All right guys, REDBUD Motocross the Nations this weekend. One huge topic from the 2018 version of this event here was how deep the track was and really how Team USA struggled on that track. It was a tough race for us. The Euros excelled, the track was deep, sandy. There's a lot of controversy whether they added a lot of sand or not, what the difference was in the track prep, the conditions of the track, but long story short, it was not great for Team USA in 2018. Now we're here, 2022. Eli Tomac said it himself yesterday. It's all about redemption and it's all about finishing this thing out strong and on top. So Team USA is coming in strong. The track is looking good, and we're here to talk to Broc Glover of Dunlop Tires to get a little bit of insight of what the teams in the pits are running for tire selection, and also kind of just a little bit about the drama of the dirt, the conditions of the track, and also the starting grates and the differences that, you know, now we're back on starting grates, FIM spec grates, rather than dirt starts like we've been doing all summer here at the AMA National. So Broc, what's it like to be back here at REDBUD, getting a little redemption for Team USA, and also for you supplying Dunlop tires to almost the whole pro paddock?
Well, first and foremost, a lot of questions in there. The redemption fact, race is tomorrow, main event, so we really don't know what's going to happen. You mentioned the grates. They are FIM spec grates. They are a little different than we see in Supercross. Outdoors, we've been starting on dirt all year in the 12 races that we had there. Yeah. The FIM grates are a little more aggressive, and if you would get a chance to maybe get a photo of it or something, the center of the grate, they've actually removed the paint. So there's zero paint in the very center of the main line, so it looks like a stripe down the middle. The FIM grates seem to have even more traction than the Supercross grates, so nearly impossible to spin the tires. So it's almost a direct drive coming out. So the teams have to set up the bike in whole shot devices and get it all set up to have almost perfect traction.
Yeah, yeah, and that also makes it a lot more even behind for gate pick, and just now it's all about just your angle to the first turn. It's not so much about the condition behind the gate, how much traction you're going to have or won't have. So that definitely makes it more even, which is good and bad when you got 250s and 450s racing at the same time.
Yeah, hopefully, I mean, if you're riding a 450, hopefully you get a good jump and you get out in front. Yeah. It doesn't give the gate pick such an advantage for the 250s, you said. So that should separate a little bit, but when you have 40 top riders in the world going off of the gate like that, you're going to have handlebar to handlebar, and it's going to be really a close battle in the first corner. So whole shot's going to be super important here. Track conditions, we talk about track conditions here at REDBUD. Previous Motocross Nations startled everybody, including us at Dunlop, when we showed up here, and it really looked like they had imported some gravel, and I didn't even know they had that kind of dirt here on the premises. Yeah. But there was a pit over here, it looked to the north side of the pits, that they looked like they had hauled in a lot of gravel. I knew they expected some inclement weather, so they expected the rain, they wanted it to be a little sandier, but it certainly caught Team USA off guard. So walked the track yesterday, it looks much more traditional REDBUD conditions, the deep Midwest loamy soil that everybody loves here. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a little bit more at the REDBUD that at least American riders expect.
Yeah, no, so that's good stuff. It's good to know that the track's going to be more like the REDBUD we all know and love. This is one of the best tracks in the world, definitely one of the best tracks in the US, and a great place to host the Motocross the Nation. So obviously it was soft then. We raced here a couple months ago and it was a great event, and then now we're back. Is there any difference that you've noticed so far, even with the weather, that is going to affect the track conditions from earlier this summer to today?
Well, first and foremost, I had to break out a jacket. It is a little bit chilly this morning. I'm going to say it's probably in the high 40s, low 50s, so it'll warm up as the day goes on, but we're not going to see summer conditions. And secondly, you have to remember, a lot of the international riders, a lot of them that raced the AMA National Series are here on some of the teams for the other countries. We have the Lawrence brothers, obviously, in Team Australia. We have Ferrandis, we have our Marvin Muskin. There's our AMA-based foreign riders on some of these teams, so they're familiar with the track too. So they're going to help, elevate those countries' teams in their performance by having familiarity of the track.
Totally. That is a pretty fun part. We have only one Team USA, but we also have Joe Shimoda, who we're all rooting for on Team Japan. We also have Team Guam out here with our buddy Sean Lepanovich, Josh Veriz, and Benny Bloss riding there. Freddie Noren, our good buddy, he's riding for Team Sweden. So there are a lot of guys to root for beyond the Team USA factor. But big question, scoop tires. It's a popular topic. I love racing and riding with scoop tires. It feels like to me, when I'm going through a sand corner, I think back to Lake Havasu when I did some off-road racing there. I felt like I had an extra 100 cc's with a scoop tire on, didn't have to use the clutch in a deep sand corner, just roll on the throttle almost like I'm on a 50, you know, no clutch and no shifting, just roll it on in third gear and it just goes. So it almost felt like my 450 jumped up to a 550 with just having that scoop tire on there. It just keeps going. So is that what guys are going to be running this weekend? I would assume so, but is it the MX-14?
Yeah, most of the riders will definitely be qualifying on them, and I would imagine unless the weather changes dramatically and we get hardback for some miracle, they're going to stay with them. It is an advantage. It's kind of a combination of things that have driven the scoop tire development and the usage. It's increased so much. You have, first and foremost, the tire itself has been developed to work more and more into the traditional motocross conditions where it's loamy soil. It's not just pure bottomless sand tire anymore. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, the riders in the track prep, they really have to get the whole a fast qualifying time, so they're really concerned about a qualifying time. So they want to set up their bike just for that one flyer lap. So that starts off in the early sessions of qualifying. Track prep, I do talk to the different track owners, and I talk to them about prep, and they tell me they use the same equipment all the time, but just for the Pro Nationals in particular, they just put a lot more water on the track. So that being said, we always think they rip it a lot deeper, and he said not really, we don't really rip it much deeper. What we do is put a lot more water on it, so it makes it heavier, and then that's where the scoop tire performs even better. So it's been a combination of those things, and it didn't hurt the fact that Eli Tomac, and known from journalists like yourself, he's kind of sticks with the same setup all the time. He's been using pretty much the same rear tire at Dunlop for about a decade, to be honest with you. It's been a long time. We've made slight improvements, but in general, it's he's the only one running that one tire. And then the fact that he went to a scoop tire and ended up winning, I think there was at one point he had 6 straight moto wins in a row on it or something. So it's that in itself is a story amongst the tires, and that kind of brought a lot of attention to it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to hear. And what about the 120, 110 with rear tire? Because a lot of our viewers here at Motocross Action, they're hardcore racers that are racing themselves, riding themselves, and buying products for their bikes. So are the guys out here all running 120s on the rear for the scoop tire, or what's the choice there? Yeah,
with the 450, and then the 250s will run the 110. But you talk about the difference even in the 120 size of a traditional knobby, the trend has been towards the 120-90, which is a little bit taller tire in the 120 width. Eli Tomac is still, what we talk about, is stuck to the 120-80 size, which is a little lower profile. So to me, I prefer when I ride, being a little older, I want a little more comfort. I like the 120-90 also. It just gives a little longer footprint on the ground. I think it's about 7 millimeters or so. Doesn't sound like much, but it's a little extra traction. But also, to me, what it gives is a little bit extra cushion and comfort, especially on square edge bumps. The bike just tends to do track a little easier. It doesn't have that firm feeling. So I like that. So, but yeah, 250s will run the smaller, narrower 110.
Cool.
450s run the bigger 120.
Yeah, I can hear it now. If we were asking Eli Tomac right now, he'd say the 90 is a little more comfortable, a little better in the harsh bumps, but he's like, I'm all about the 80 because Eli Tomac is not a guy who cares about comfort. He wants something that he can predict, whether it's stiff suspension, and just a tire that will track to the ground with no extra give, where a guy like me, I'm all about comfort, when my fitness level is not up there with the best of them. So I need a little more give, a little softer suspension to have some fun out there, and sounds like we can relate a little bit on that with the 90. So that's the difference when you talk about a 120 rear. The 120 is the width, then the 90 or the 80 talks about the extra traction, the extra
sidewall height.
Sidewall height, exactly.
It's actually aspect ratio. I mean, it's really just the 120 is the width of the tire, and the 80 or the 90 is the percentage of the tire's height versus its width.
100%. So
awesome. So it's kind of a hard way to think, but just basically a 90 is a little taller, a little more sidewall give. The 80's a little low profile, and just think about if you're driving a car with low profile tires, you're feeling every little imperfection, every little pothole you feel, and the little taller tire, a little more comfort.
100%. Awesome. Okay, good stuff. And then Broc Glover, like, who's out here that you're excited to watch that you don't get to normally see during the AMA Nationals here in the US? Is there one rider that sticks out?
Boy, that's a good question. I mean, I do follow the MXGPs. each of the riders, they all have their skill level. I just love the Motocross Nations in general because it is a team event, and it's important to, I don't want to say be that weak link in the chain, but you can't have too many throwout motos. Totally. So each team gets the one throwout moto, so it's important that even if your weakest rider just has one decent moto, that's what you need from them. So again, I'm just excited to watch all the teams, and I love to see the whole international group of racers from around the world come here to the United States. And yeah, after the last time here at REDBUD, it wasn't the best. That's the first time the U.S. had lost on U.S. soil, and I want to see it. You know, this race, I think it's the 72nd edition, I believe. So it's been going on a long time, and have been a part of a winning teams in the past, and it's just fun for me to go to these races.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks. All right, well, thank you for your time, Broc.
You're welcome. The
big question is, did they add sand in 2018 or not? It's kind of controversial. REDBUD's claiming they didn't, but a lot of us were here and saw it. So yeah. Interesting stuff. We're hoping for a great track this weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in to Motocross Action Videos. We'll see you guys in the next one.